Okay, check it out. Um, what I want to talk to you today about is state of hip hop. And how I feel like as artists we can, we need to get back to some of the business that we started out doing back in the day when hip hop was first founded. Hip hop is an urban musical art form, that was developed in New York during the 1980s, and it was an empowering art form for the urban youth and the emerging working class. It was intended to be a type of protest music. It spoke to the social ills, one faces within its own local community. The music was a way for the disenfranchised youth of America to raise a worldly awareness. It was a way to draw the attention of the world leaders to the state of being. Um, we were trying to point out, what was wrong within our government and society, and we also was demanding the change by those whom we had elected to positions of authority. During the Hip Hop Summit in 2001, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told hip hop leaders, what society wanted to do with hip hop and young people was to break the mirror rather than look into it and clean itself up. He also stated that if society cleaned itself up, rappers, us, would have to talk about something else, and which is, I feel like it's a real true statement. We had many objections, to the injustice and oppression inflicted on our target social group here in America. We opposed the exploitations exercised by the aristocratic elite while promoting and advocating freedom and equality. We also demanded the inalienable rights that they alienated us from and encouraged one like mind and unity. What we were fighting for was the same principle foundation this country was built on and had gone astray from for a long time. Hip hop is like, to me, hip hop is God's answer to the tears and prayers of our parents, grandparents, and ourselves. It was through him that we gained the knowledge of ourselves and the ability to harness the power, that was granted, and the power that would uplift us from our then and current state of poverty. It was through him, God, we had a voice to use as a tool to convey the messages of hope and peace, and prosperity. How we weren't given credit for our contributions to the betterment of mankind as a whole. These were some of the issues that we talked about and we addressed through the music. I feel like we've been misled and misguided due to the modern day society and its government's invasion of our culture. It came by the way of commercial and mainstream media's influence over and the promise of monetary gains. These gains were focused towards the less fortunate, impoverished, inner city youth as a tactic. As an outcome, a misrepresentation of hip-hop's true art form and today's artists losing their sense of origin and purpose came about. Instead of speaking out against the stereotype, we perpetuated the negative stereotype of people, hip-hop, that are violent by nature, difficult to get along with, and disrespectful to its own women. We're seen as people with no moral standing, a bait and release system, and a minute expectation about future involvement in world aspects, allowing the same people who enslaved and still oppress us to take what God created for us, his people, as a means to a new end. They took it and used it for their own profitable and destructive purposes. We don't care what the message is anymore, so long as the check has 6 digits or more written on it. During this period of the invasion, there were 2 terms used to describe the young hip-hop artists. You were either down or a sellout. If you were down, it meant you were for the cause of establishing hip-hop as something more than a way to make money. You were using the tool in the right way. It was a way to gather all the necessary elements needed in the establishment of a culture. If you were a sellout, it meant that you sold your cultural element. You conform to the commercial mainstream media for a lesser monetary gain through exploitation. We are the originators. Without us, there would be no product to sell in the stores. This is how we fell from greatness. See, hip-hop today can be the one unified mind and body of the world, rooted in the one living true God. It can be the drive that forms a righteous nation, one where a person values the level of elemental mastery one has attained and their contribution to the community. Hip-hop can still be the empowering influence over this youthful world. It it can still show where one fits into society instead of how one has to conform to its will. It can still encourage young people to stand up for what they believe in, their hearts to be true without fear of persecution. When you look at the countries such as Uganda and Palestine, where the hip-hop culture here in America has influenced the youth, now you are seeing more movements of equality and better living conditions. We still can be what God intended, the leaders and teachers, the philosophers, the shepherds, the governors and officials of the new world and worldly idea. We are the history of hip-hop, so therefore we should uphold the ideas of the foundation. As a member of the hip-hop culture, a producer and practitioner of hip-hop, I feel as though American hip-hop artists should return back to its roots as leaders of the world's youth. We must be the positive influence to those young and old who identify with us and see themselves within us. We must change the message in our music and stop diluting it just so a record can sell to 500,000 people. Think about it. 500,000 people. 500,000 people stateside and abroad can feel our music and its message. We need to think, or should I say, we need to rethink the direction we are getting them to move in. Stop making excuses for why we're not responsible when we are who the direct response mimics. We have the ethical responsibility to affect change and bring unity. We can show that we aren't all thugs, gangsters, and pimps. We're not terrorists. In the example of the Palestinian hip-hop artist from Israel whose stage name is Sabrina the Witch, I fear. We have to be mindful of the image we portray through our music. Yes, our music. Too often I hear artists say things like, it's just entertainment, or I'm not a role model. In fact, it's more than just entertainment, and yes, we are indeed truly role models. We set the tone for the youth of the world. They listen to us. We need more of the originators to be down and not sellouts. It's time for the redefining of what hip-hop is and will become. The powers that be don't care about what hip-hop is doing so long as it's within their set parameters of confinement. Once we lose the chains and step out the box, we will see how much influence we have on the world and how they despise the thought of its proper use. They will go on and attack, except for this time we'll be ready. Let's get back to our business and stop doing their work for them. Thank you.